There was a great video we watched called the 7-stage collapse pattern, and the U.S. was at stage 5. There were some eye-opening things to me in that video. Not so much since I live here in Spain now, because I'm able to see from the outside some of the patterns that are happening. But yet and still, that video did show me a different perspective, or just to see some things that are really going on out there. In the comments, someone suggested, it was Darren Neves, I believe is the name. Darren suggested that I check out another video that was in the same vein called How Empires Fall and Why the U.S. is Next. And this is by Uncivilized. There will be a link down below so you can go over and support their channel. Hey, I'm always open to hearing these things. That's what this channel is all about, doing my best to learn. So before we get going here, if you like this content, then please like the video. Let's see what we can see.
Every empire falls. That is certain, no matter how long they reigned and how far their rule stretched. From the Romans, who ruled for over 1,000 years, to the Ottomans, who spanned continents, and the USSR that changed the political landscape of the modern world. So is the empire we're living under today also crumbling?
Yes. The key question is how fast.
We have bounties beyond.
Well, that's interesting. Yes, that's pretty much a given. But the key question is how fast. And I wonder, was the U.S., obviously it was assumed that it was an empire, or I don't know if assumed is the right word. It was an understanding maybe, or it was deemed, maybe is the word I'm looking for. It was deemed as an empire. I guess it would have to be, but I just thought about that for some reason.
Beyond those known to the people of any other day.
American democracy is obviously limping on both feet.
Oh,
America
God.
is not the greatest country in the world anymore.
The US empire is falling, and
What? Okay, I just had to say. He said America's not the greatest country in the world anymore. I mean, I don't know whose voice that was, but that means that at some point it was assumed that it was the greatest country in the world, according to that person.
America is not the greatest country in the world anymore.
the US empire is falling, and there are 3 symptoms of its impending demise that we can see from looking to the past. Let's start with the oldest of the bunch.
Okay.
The Roman Empire oversaw the lives of millions of people. Remnants of its great reign still stand in cities across the world, a testament to their reach and influence in the lands they conquered.
Never has Rome been greater or stronger than now.
But then, after 1,000 years of domination, it fell. And just like Rome wasn't built in a day, it didn't fall in one either. Instead, the fall of the Roman Empire was death by 1,000 cuts. But there's one factor in particular we're going to look at. Internal decay.
At the height of its grandeur and its glory, a civilization.
Internal decay. That's where the U.S. is now. It's been for a while, but it's definitely there right now.
So powerful, it could never be conquered from without. Yet it found the seeds of its destruction within itself.
There was a huge disparity between the lives of the elite and the commoners. Rome's elites lived in grand estates, hosting lavish, decadent banquets where they'd feast on peacock tongue and wine from naked waiters.
Every one of these senatorial families has holdings all over the Roman Empire. They're the equivalent of small multinational corporations. They are wealthy in a way that is impossible for us to understand.
The poor lived a very different reality. They worked menial jobs and lived mostly on bread and porridge, living in overcrowded, badly built buildings, prone to collapse and spreading disease.
The games are all about the Roman emperors giving the people what they need, and it's always described as bread and circuses. They had to feed the people of Rome, but once they were fed, they had to be entertained.
Let the games begin!
There were famines, peasant uprisings, and slavery, and the Roman tax system disproportionately impacted the lower classes, while the wealthy often avoided taxes through exemption or corruption.
This is now
That sounds like the U.S. right there, because they definitely do avoid taxes through exemption, loopholes, corruption, all of that. And the people in the lower income brackets end up paying the most tax, or, you know, the highest tax percentage, I should say.
new era of Roman history. Rome is no longer what it was. Rome is in decline.
The middle class was shrinking, and the economy became increasingly polarized between the very rich and the very poor, all fueling resentment and instability. So what does this tell us about the US?
Yeah.
Home they've always dreamed of, the happiest investment they have ever made.
The middle class was once a symbol of the American dream. It meant owning your own home.
I just want to say that, I mean, a lot of times people don't, I don't know, like maybe don't know about, they don't see how Americans can be brainwashed into thinking certain things. But I mean, if you just watch that, like this is a commercial, like this is what people saw. And this commercial probably looks like it was in the
Home they've
60s or
always
70s.
dreamed of, the happiest investment they have ever made.
I mean, look, it just, you know, it's so nice. It got a nice little house. It's the home they always dreamed of. It's the best investment they've ever made. And look, they're all smiling, except the little boy. But they're all smiling. You know, it just makes you, when you're growing up with this, when you're 7, 10, 12, and you hear these commercials all the time, you see these pictures and movies and all this, it's like, you know, it gets in your head that that's what you want. And that's what you're like kind of programmed to have. You envision all these great things because you want to be like the people you see on the commercials. And it's not, you know, a conscious thing that people do, but it's just what you have when you're growing up over there. I just wanted to point that out because oftentimes people ask in the comments or, you know, different places like that, they ask, how do Americans get brainwashed? Well, here you go. Here's an example of it.
The middle class was once a symbol of the American dream. It meant owning your own home with a white picket fence, a car, kids going to school, a perceived ease and quality of life that couldn't be found anywhere else in the world, and that anyone could achieve so long as they worked hard enough.
We are a prospering people, wherever we live, or earn our livelihood.
But for the past few decades, that's all become increasingly out of reach for lots of Americans.
Some people skipping meals because they simply can't afford it.
The number of people experiencing homelessness in a single night went up 12%.
Every year, hundreds of thousands of people are literally asking for donations to afford medical treatment.
Our roads and bridges are crumbling, our airports are out of date, and the vast majority of our seaports are in danger of becoming obsolete.
But Americans from the grocery store to the gas station are seeing their budgets tighten every single month.
And the changes suggested would mean higher taxes for the average American family, widening America's already massive income gap.
90% of the wealth is right here in the top. And then the lower middle class, they've got 0.3% of a piece. Yeah, they have some crumbs there. And the poorest, they have no pie. In fact, they have less than no pie. They actually have a bill for pie. They're in pie debt.
They're struggling to meet rent or mortgage payments, repay college loans, to repay loans for a car.
While the wealthy have become steadily wealthier.
Yeah. I mean, we fell into that. I mean, you know, oh, well, hey, on this channel, sometimes my business gets put out there, but I mean, we had a house and we had renters in that house. Fortunately, Lisa was a property manager, so we had a place to stay. We stayed there. But, you know, the house we had was awesome. But it was just an American dream. You know, it's like, whoa, we did it. We got a house. But then the renters wanted to move out, and it's like, oh, crap. Now we got to figure out how to pay for this house because we were just excited that we had a house, and we were just going to figure out how to pay for it after we got it. So I know I'm getting a lot of judging in the comments, but hey, whatever. I mean, that's just what it is. But yeah, we were those people. So it's just crazy and interesting to me. I mean, I'm fortunate. I am fortunate because I'm here now, have a different life. But you know, hey, that's a part of my life. That's a part of what got me to where I am right now.
College loans, to repay loans for a car.
While the wealthy have become steadily wealthier, wages have been stagnant and costs of living have surged. And it's not like these changes are mutually exclusive. It's off the backs of workers, of the exploitation of the American masses, that the wealthy continue to engorge themselves.
Elon Musk has officially become the richest person in the world. His net worth has crossed the $400 billion US mark.
Oh God, this is obviously old. This is a year ago. because now I think it was 1.3 trillion. And he lives in a country where you got homeless people. You have people that are 65, 70 who can't afford food. It's just crazy.
Companies buying out the housing market, insurance companies making healthcare unaffordable, politicians taking money from lobbies to protect corporate interests and fill their own pockets. And the working class is well aware.
Hoarding wealth is so harmful, so unethical, so rage-inducing.
Billionaires should not exist. So you talk about teacher's salary, $2,000 in rent, $400 car payment, you got insurance, you got groceries, electricity. Like, I don't understand how people are affording life right now.
For 5 stitches, $3,800.
What?
Like, it's so freaking hard to live here.
North America is one big scam.
And then there's the internal social and political decay. People have become disenchanted with the illusion of American democracy, of its promises of equality, of equal opportunity for all as long as you pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
You can see a sea of people all united under one cause. They are protesting.
Isn't that interesting? Pick yourself up by your bootstraps. But hey, I don't know. People have had different paths. I will say that. So I definitely had a different path in the same country as other people that I went to school with, but they just had different opportunities. The path was a little bit easier. You know, from my perspective, the color of my skin had a lot to do with it. I never let it stop me. I know people will say that, you know, you're in America, you have a chance to, you know, you have the same opportunity as I did next to you. But I mean, I don't know. That's probably a different video, but that's something. It definitely impacted me in a way that a lot of people might not think. So I don't know. That's something I should probably talk about one day. If you have a video, whatever. I'm sure I'll talk about it someday. I'm just kind of talking in circles right now, but I don't know. I just wanted to. It's what came up for me, so I said it.
You can see a
subscribe.
Sea of people all united under one cause. They are protesting for racial equality.
The murder of a healthcare executive has led to online popularity for the shooter.
Mangione has emerged in some circles as a sympathetic figure fighting the system.
All this leads to political instability, economic trouble, and social unrest.
That was United Healthcare. I had United Healthcare, and they denied my claim. But I'm not condoning what he did. I just wanted to say that.
All this leads to political instability, economic trouble, and social unrest, which weakens the empire at its core.
Yep.
But an empire is bigger than its center. It's a network of vassal states serving the core's interests. And keeping all those entities in check is done through both soft power and hard power. That brings us to symptom number 2. To understand soft power and how it plays into imperial decline, let's look at the Ottomans.
It was a huge empire, dominated by a Turkish dynasty that had its origins in Asia Minor.
The Ottoman Empire was one of the most powerful and enduring empires in history, spanning 3 continents at its height.
Wait, hold on.
Powerful and enduring empires in history, spanning 3...
Okay. Okay.
3 continents at its height. It was a hub of cultural and scientific innovation, producing advancements in medicine, astronomy, architecture, and engineering that changed the world.
They ruled a considerable mix of peoples and faiths.
There was no great history of ethnic tension, even though there was a history of massively complicated ethnic and confessional coexistence.
It lasted almost 600 years, until it didn't. One factor that contributed to its demise was its waning influence over the peoples and territories it had under its control, also known as the loss of soft power. Soft power is about being more persuasive than coercive, about getting people...
Whoa.
Soft power is about being more
What's happening up there? Sorry. My little 12-year-old mind took over right here. Okay. Back to the video.
Persuasive than coercive, about getting people to comply without using force. In the case of the Ottomans, it was a delicate balance of diplomacy and cultural influence. But over time, the empire's ability to foster loyalty among diverse groups was eroding, aided by rising nationalism within these communities.
The Greeks were the first to rebel against the Ottoman shackles.
The minute you start getting a political world, this system is going to break down. And that is what happens in the 19th century, and that is the great conundrum for the empire.
People stopped buying into the vision of the empire and began to break off and pursue their own interests. Now, the US has been really good at soft power. It began after World War II, when the US positioned itself as a global leader promoting democracy, economic growth, and cultural influence.
Chose the king because he can buy more with his wages than any other worker on the globe.
It is the most important idea that the United States has contributed to the world. Citizens of every rank can expect to have a better, richer, happier life.
It helped rebuild war-torn Europe, set up major global institutions where it continues to hold significant power, and has exported music, television, and pop culture across the world for decades. And the messaging of this soft power has been consistent and clear.
Shining silhouette on a hill. After 200 years, she's still a beacon, still a magnet for all who must have freedom.
But for soft power to work, for people to buy into the fantasy and want to participate, they need to see credibility and moral consistency. Now, just to be clear, the US has violated the principles it preaches since its founding, not to mention since its emergence as a global hegemon. It seems the majority of people were willing to overlook that and buy into the American dream. But the illusion is falling apart.
Oh, God.
The mob tore down scaffolding, battled their way through the last line of police defense, and broke into the Capitol building itself.
At home, the land of democracy, liberty, and human rights hasn't kept up the best image in recent...
But, oh, hold on. I just want to...
is falling apart.
The mob tore down scaffolding, battled their way through the last line of police defense, and broke into the Capitol building itself.
That's just an interesting time in the history of the country. And I think what has happened subsequently to that is, I mean, it's like something that should be studied because, I mean, you had people that were in this building, in this room on that day, and soon after, like a day or two after, were condemning everything about it. Now they pretend like it didn't happen. And people with this, they were just there like, you know, they were there with tour guides or something. And there were a couple people who did bad things. But so it's just interesting how it works over there.
At home, the land of democracy, liberty, and human rights hasn't kept up the best image.
Hold on. Did you see that?
At home, the land of democracy, liberty.
Massacre in Las Vegas. Worst mass shooting in U.S. history. This is just, I remember this. I wasn't living in Las Vegas at that time. I grew up in Vegas, but I wasn't living there at that time. But like 50 people died, and obviously a bunch more were injured. And wouldn't you think that this is the one thing? I mean, this is like these people are just at a concert enjoying themselves outside on a summer night. Like, you would think that, okay, this is the thing that's going to have some type of regulations on gun control. And I remember the one thing they tried to get implemented was like it was called a bump stop, I think, which kind of turned a rifle into like an automatic weapon or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a gun aficionado, so, but, and it had some leverage. I thought, everybody thought that they were finally going to do something, at least just to outlaw that. And then that got shot to hell. It's just how it works over there when it comes to gun violence.
And human rights hasn't kept up the best image in recent years. And it's not any better abroad. The US has spearheaded and overseen devastating wars, crippling debt, human rights violations, and environmental damage across the world, which has made it hard to take preaching of democracy and freedom seriously.
America no longer charts a course and therefore has lost all rights to set it, and even more so to impose it on others.
Disillusionment with American values is growing, And in its panic, the empire continues to thrash and bully to stay relevant.
Yeah.
That's where hard power comes in, and brings us to the third symptom of the fall of an empire. This one is best illustrated by the Soviet Union.
Oh.
Now, the USSR ideologically rejected the idea of imperialism, but the reality is that it looked and acted like an empire.
The Soviet Communist Party has not faced a serious internal threat to its political rule since the 1920s.
There was a centralized authority overseeing expansion and control of a collection of republics and satellite states, where movements for autonomy were suppressed. What tethered these states together was a unified ideology, communism. But it was also hard power, military might. And that costs money.
It is here, in Red Square, that the superpower Soviet Union holds its military parades, displaying its might for all the world to see.
At its strongest, the Soviet Union had 5 million soldiers stationed around the Union, and pursued wars and conquests to maintain and expand its reach. Then there's all the money spent on the arms race during the Cold War. Money spent on propping up parties in proxy wars across the world, and money spent on wars like Afghanistan, a protracted 10-year-long conflict that cost them $50 billion.
The superpower from the north occupies Afghanistan with more than 100,000 troops, a modern mechanized army.
Eventually, the cost of keeping the empire in check became unmanageable, and the economy took a hit. By the late 80s, people within the Union were struggling with soaring poverty and a low quality of life, with no strategic wins to show for all that money spent. Military and ideological overextension drained not only the economy, but public morale as well, until people got fed up.
Uh-oh.
In Moscow, the hammer and sickle is lowered for the last time.
Sounds familiar.
All estimates agree that the cost will be at least $1 trillion. The Bush administration never expected the war to drag on as long as it has.
The fall of Kabul to the Taliban marked an abrupt end to America's longest war. The war cost American taxpayers about $1 trillion.
The U.S. carried out long, brutal, expensive wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, with nothing to show for it except instability and devastation and financial loss.
Right.
Then there's the constant ideological wars. The war on communism, the war on drugs, the war on terror, the war on China and Russia. There's a constant boogeyman in the ether to justify U.S. military spending.
Yeah. And I would say that even domestically, you know, you got people over there being called communists and all kind of other things. So there's a cost to that too.
The U.S. maintains the most bases in the world at over 700 and spends hundreds of billions of dollars on the military every year, more than the next 10 countries combined. It's funding Ukraine in its war against Russia. It might support Taiwan in a war against China. Billions of dollars spent, and we can't remember the last war the U.S. has actually won.
That's a good point. I don't know. Probably not in my lifetime.
But last year, an undeniable awakening happened.
This has been a senseless and a deliberate slaughter, a genocide, but it is happening on our dime.
For over a year, Americans and the rest of the world have watched U.S. politicians from both sides of the aisle cheer on and fund the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza to the tune of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
It has shattered the idea that the U.S. is a beacon of justice and human rights, and irreversibly cemented the hypocrisy of American moral exceptionalism.
Damn. I mean, that's true. That's true. I mean, I think in that regard, in my opinion, it's just based on religion. I think that's what I mean, that's a kind of a maybe shallow, like simple way to look at it. But I do think that the relationship that the U.S. has with Israel is largely based on religion. So people might disagree. That's fine. That's my opinion. That's what I think. So
the empire has never cemented the hypocrisy of American moral exceptionalism. the empire has never been so exposed. And it's shown Americans, who back in the Imperial core continue to struggle to live decent, dignified lives, where all their tax money is going, and where it's definitely not. The US has been an empire since its very conception. From colonizing Native American land, to conquering territories overseas, to dominating world politics through global institutions, military might, corporate interests, and foreign meddling. Of all the empires that have risen and fallen, none have come close to having the reach and power of the US. So the idea of it losing its hold over the world seems inconceivable. But while all these symptoms are unfolding and the US empire erodes from within and without,
I think that's an important, I think this is true for me too.
Of the US. So the idea of it losing its hold over the world seems inconceivable.
The idea of losing its hold over the world seems inconceivable. I think that for me, watching all these videos and, you know, hey, I mean, I was like a lot of people in the US that you just believe one thing, one way. So it's like, it's inconceivable to me that all this stuff that's happening and you know, the US standing in the world is just not nearly what everybody thinks it is, or everybody in a lot of people in the US thinks it is, and it's getting worse. So I think that was a very accurate statement that she said.
But while all these symptoms are unfolding and the US empire erodes from within and without, it's not doing so in a vacuum.
Right.
It does so in the middle of a global shift in geopolitics, in a world that's becoming increasingly multipolar, with countries choosing new allies, new frameworks for collaboration, even new currencies.
Hold on. Let's see what this is. Oh, okay. Xi pledges $50 billion for Africa. Okay. So that's a new ally.
Choosing new allies in a world that's becoming increasingly multipolar, with countries choosing new allies, new frameworks for collaboration, even new currencies.
The aim of the alliance is to challenge the economic and political monopoly of the West.
All of which is not good for the US. See, the way the global system is designed is, in many ways, for the benefit of America. From reliance on the dollar, US aid, and US debt, to fear of US sanctions, vetoes, and foreign intervention, we live in a world full of systems and institutions designed to prop up the US and keep the rest of the world in check. But these systems aren't going to live forever because they're inherently unsustainable. They rely on the exploitation of peoples across the world and within the imperial core, and bank on them buying into the bit that all this is necessary, is better for them, and protects them. And as life...
That's interesting. So, I mean, essentially what they're doing, or what they've done, or for people around the world, is what they've done to the U.S. citizens. Getting them to believe that all this is necessary, you know, kind of buying into an idea. So, which is what the majority of U.S. citizens have done. And it sounds like the U.S. has done that around the world in a lot of ways, but that's starting to break down.
It becomes more unaffordable, countries more destabilized, governments more autocratic, and our environment more unlivable. People eventually wake up, and that's usually the beginning of the end.
Wow. That was good. That was good. I don't know, man. It's great. It's good for me. Okay. Just my personal little world, just learning all these things. So, and I know there's people out there. I mean, I've been hearing a lot in the comments lately, but I know there's people out there that, you know, are saying, well, Americans are stupid and you should have been learning this before, what they teach you in school, all that. I don't know. You can say that, but it's just true. So I'm learning all of these things now. Well, I don't want to say it that way. It's just kind of a reminder of what's going on in the world. And I'm seeing it from a different perspective being over here in Europe. That's probably a good way to say it. So, but I thought that was a really good video. Hopefully you liked that video there. If you did, then hey, subscribe to the channel, man. It's easy and it's free. My name is Greg. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.